This video is made for adult collectors because it makes me go slightly insane in the beginning, I'm sorry.
You can't get away this time, Optimus Prime!
Ultra Magnus, I need your help!
Ultra Magnus! I'm in trouble! I'll be right there!
So this is going to take a bit of explaining, and don't worry, I won't make this take up too much of the video, and I will get back to the toy. That's the whole point of the video today. But this is what I think the next HASLAB might be, and here's why. Ben said on the stream for PulseCon that they will be doing an Omega-type reveal for next year for the 40th anniversary, while he was talking about what the next HASLAB was going to be. And because it's the 40th, people, myself included, thought, oh, 40 years, so start with G1, so it's going to be like a G1 thing, Devastator. But as Thrilling 30 showed us, the anniversary doesn't have to be G1 only, and 40th anniversary wave 1 is United, and there is no G1 toys in that wave at all. So it doesn't have to be a G1 toy, and that brings me back to the Omega comment. They could be talking about Omega Supreme, but Omega Supreme works well as a Titan, so well that they made his mold twice. And as he works well as a Titan, it makes no sense to me to bottleneck the sales of the largely popular big toy by making it a HASLAB and thus not as accessible to their main market, kids. Then that brings me to putting these in retail. Prime would sell because he's Optimus Prime, but Magnus, they would have to do these two as commanders, and they do one commander a year per line. So making Prime first makes sense, but then it's a whole year for Magnus. And because they wouldn't do a spoiler to Magnus on the box of Prime's toy, because of how Hasbro does reveals nowadays, Magnus would gain less sales than Prime due to people not being interested or missing out on Prime, not thinking that they're going to do the combined mode, or just not being old enough to remember or know that these are supposed to combine, so they'd buy one and not the other. So again, Omega reveal could be Omega Prime. This concept already works in HASLAB with Star Saber, so I could totally see them doing this. It's also the same height as Star Saber. Just call it Magnus and Fire Convoy to get around the No Optimus Prime in HASLAB, and you're good. And Hasbro, if you're watching this, because I know sometimes you do watch these, and if I'm correct, you owe me a pizza party. I could be absolutely wrong, but Ben's wording makes it very vague. But if I'm right, I expect that pizza party, Hasbro. Now onto the toy. Let me split them up first.
I just have to show this to the camera because it's funny. He has no boots on.
Magnus and Prime are beefcakes, and I've technically already made a video on Prime, so I'm going to mainly focus on Magnus. Magnus looks like an idiot. Not going to lie, I've never been the biggest fan of the design, but having it in hand and not broken this time, I do like the toy as a toy. He is all leg, but it's a tall, chunky dude who surprisingly can stand on these legs, sort of. He is quite unstable in the torso. The way it pegs together and sits, it doesn't lock super well, and the torso just starts to come apart when you go to mess with it. I do like the paint on the knee pads, but it feels a tad out of place because the majority of the toy is unpainted. So when I look at this, the first thing I look at are his knees. Head sculpt does kind of fit the angsty teen vibes he has in the show, which I do like, and those reflective eyes are just so nice. I'd love for them to do more reflective eyes on toys in the future, like silver paint, or they don't chrome things anymore, but it would be really cool. He can hold his massive gun, but it's very heavy, and his arms just can't hold it up. I'll talk about that more in a little bit. Next to Combine Prime, and yeah, these are sick. I'm starting to warm up to the late 90s, early 2000s toys more, and I kinda want more late Beast Wars and RID toys now, damn it.
So Magnus's posing kind of sucks. Like it's not very good. To start with, you got, I gotta have to zoom in, he's really far away. Head's on a ball joint. The head is actually very expressive. You can tilt it left and right, he can rotate, look up that far and down that far, which is pretty cool. But the more you mess with it, the more it then pops out of that torso peg thing. He's leaning back. Shoulders, so this rotates along with the shoulders, so you have basically a full 360. The backpack does kind of get in the way a little bit, but it's not bad. In and out. For some reason, the shoulder and elbows are ball joints, and that was a very poor decision because that means he can't really hold much because they get loose over time, or start to be loose, as I've heard from some people. But you have a ball jointed elbow that bends that far. It also allows for bicep swivel. You have a rotatable waist, and it can hinge in and out because ball joint, and then thumb and finger. But that's pretty much all the articulation you're going to be able to use, because the leg articulation is really stinky. So he doesn't have ratchets going forward. So, and it's like it's on both, which leads me to assume that they're not broken. And the other one that I've messed with, which was my neighbor's copy before they got rid of it, it didn't have any ratchets in the hips going forward and back either. But he does have ratchets going in and out. You do have a thigh swivel, which is ratcheted, and a knee bend. But the knee bend is right up there, so it doesn't really accomplish much. So you can kind of like pose it. And then he does that a lot, which is very unfortunate and very scary, because the chrome, the massive good looking bit of chrome, is right here on his butt, where all this pointy stuff likes to stab it. He has to, in order to stand, because he's got no ratchets in his hips, the butt plate has to rest on the back of the thighs in order for him to stand up, and he's constantly leaning back, and this backpack doesn't peg in either, which doesn't help. So it's not great.
So as a robot, he's really good at standing there sometimes. Now let's make him a truck.
All right, let's make him a truck. And this is where the term that I like to use for him is the first ever like weaponizer comes into play, because weaponizers you combine with other toys and you have to pull them apart to transform them. Magnus, you have to rip his legs off to transform him. So flip these up like that. Peg the grill in. That's basically the front of the truck. Now we're going to fold these sections in, rotate the head. I like to spin it around just because it makes things a little bit nicer. Pull this and just straighten all of this out. Bring this back around. As you can see, he likes to flip around a lot and flop. So we're gonna just peg that in now. Fold that up. And then rotate the arms around like so. Bring them in and peg them together. Make sure this is all straightened out like so. Peg it into the backpack to sort of hold everything in place. Then I fold the hands down just to get them out of the way. Now what's really interesting is Magnus can survive just like that, which I do quite like. I think that's a really neat touch. But let's get on to the legs. Let's get the cab out of the way. Legs. You peg them together like that. Then you want to fold the ratchets in. Fold these out. Flip this around. Now I like to display it with these things facing forward because I think it looks neat, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. But I'm going to now rotate these in. He's coming unpegged. Rotate these in. Bring this up, peg it in, bring this up, peg it in, fold out the little ramp parts, and now the back half is ready to attach to the front half. So we're going to bring the front half back in, open this up, slide that into place, peg this side together, and then peg that side together, get that all situated. Unfold the ramp, straighten it all out, fold that in, peg this in, and there you have Magnus in his alt mode.
Now that's a car carrier. Look at that alt mode. It just looks epic. It's a long truck, but it has dedicated ramps and sections that are easily accessible by cars to get up and down on. It's fantastic. And that friggin' bumper section is superb. The chrome isn't chipping, and there's a big Autobot symbol on the front. It looks beastly. And next to Prime, it works so well. The gun does peg into the back, and it looks kind of goofy, but I kind of like how that looks, if I'm going to be completely honest. The toy does have electronics, but the button doesn't.
Oh, it works now.
Now let's combine him with Prime.
So let's get this guy combined now into Omega Prime. So all you really need from Optimus is this segment. And that's sort of the prepping you need to get him into in order to make him combine. Ugh. This is a junker one because he's missing a panel on the back of the leg. And he's missing his little gun. And that's the one that this came with. I basically paid 110 bucks for just Magnus and then the Junker Prime to combine and fix mine. So yeah, that's cool. Anyways, Magnus, you want to start by basically just undoing the whole car carrier thing, which you can push this down and drive cars up, which is really cool. Let's just get that out of the way. Unpeg this. Well, this will make the feet. So to start with, you want to basically just accordion the whole thing up. Bring this section up, fold that down, fold down the foot, and that's a leg. He fell over, but that's a leg all done. So we'll do the same thing on this side. Collapse all that up, bring this up, fold that down, fold that out. Legs. Now you want to take Prime, and he's got ports at the bottom of his feet and pegs in that part there. So you're just going to take him, plug him in like that, and then this will lock into that. And then this will lock that into place. It's very secure the way they attach the foot, which is really cool. However, if you're missing this panel, kind of annoying because when you plug this in, it's going to constantly want to push this plate up and you got to like straighten it out. So make sure you don't lose that panel. I'm not knocking that against the toy. That's just against the fact that this is used, but try not to lose the panel. Come on. There we go. Now you got Omega Prime with his shoes on. Oh god, I hate that. I'll talk about the hip ratchets later. Magnus, or the rest of Magnus. This part's very annoying, especially trying to attach it to him. So we're going to take this, split it, pull this up, and just make it T-pose. We are going to then get the arms off. There we go. Get those off. Put them off to the side. Actually, let's attach them now. So bring back Omega Prime in. Now the arms. You want to fold them out this way. And what is it? I'm doing this wrong. I'm always doing this wrong. This rotates this way so that the hands look like that and the wheels are on this side. The thumb is going to peg into that. Then you peg it into the rest of the hand, and he's got an Omega Prime glove on. So I'm just gonna do the same thing here on the other side. I always get the orientation incorrect on the hands, and it's really bothersome, and that's not a knock against the toy. That's me being an idiot. So we're just gonna chalk that down to me being stupid. But there you go, now he's got his big hockey gloves on. Now let's get the rest of Magnus completed. So to start with, we're going to take these sections, well, take the grill, bring it up, rotate these up like that. I'm just gonna bring these up and out. I put these here because that's like the best place I found for them. We're going to take this section. You actually don't need to do that. Leave that up. These sections come out and fold down. And then take these two ports right here. They're gonna plug into that. And getting this lined up is bits fall off is a pain in the ass. Oh, shut up. There we go. Then you just clip the chest in like that. I'm going to plug this back in here. There we go. And then flip the head up. Peg it in, compress it down, and then fold the wings up. And just gonna angle that in a bit. There you have Omega Prime.
This looks very, very cool, but a tad awkward. First, let's just soak in the majesty of this design. It looks awesome to me, but then this thing likes to topple over and it's pain. But the thing is big, like very big, and heavy, and creaky. And that, again, is why I think this would work well as a HASLAB, because it is the same size as Victory Saber and Deathsaurus. The colors do feel a tad disjointed because Prime is now in the mix and you've got all these different colors of red. But if you were to use Yellow Splendid Convoy, then it would look even more disjointed. But all in all, it's still a very fun toy. Like, I like it a lot.
Now, Omega Prime's articulation, just forget about it. The head is on a ball joint, a very nice expressive ball joint. Shoulders, they can rotate a little bit. They can go in and out. This bicep swivel is very loose. Elbow bend, bicep rotation. Wrists are on ball joints. You got a thumb articulation and finger articulation, which is nice. There is a waist joint, but because of the way this ratchet is done inside here, he loves to just wiggle. Very scary. Hips can go forward and back, in and out, and the ratchets are like the ones where he has to pee, which is really annoying. Below the knee swivel, the knee only bends that far, but he does have ankle pivot, which is something surprising to see on a toy this old. But yeah, he's not the most stable thing in the world to pose.
So I do recommend one, of course, but it is a very expensive set sometimes. I got this for, I believe, 110 or 120, something like that. I don't know. The shop gave me a discount on this because I was buying a whole bunch of stuff together. But that for Prime missing a panel and Magnus missing a tire is actually kind of cheap, which is unfortunate because this guy is very expensive online. And if you can find one for like 130, 150 for both, then I'd say, of course, get it. But anything else, I'd say you're probably paying a bit too much. But that's my look at RID Omega Prime. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.